Hello, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler, the post-season edition.
That's why I wore my Cynics Baluster old shirt, because it's blood everywhere in Wisconsin.
It was bloody. It was ugly and it was bloody. And you know, we've had 5 days to kind of chew it out, chew it up and see what happened there. Give us your synopsis of what happened to this team.
Well, Tom, in looking at this game and looking at the team, it seemed like to me that the focus of #1 seed being rested, all of these great things that they fought so hard for, they left slip through their fingers. But I will say this. The first half, they were good enough to have a substantial enough lead to be in this game, but they just didn't take advantage of the opportunities. And I'm going to tell you something, Packer fans are pretty much angry, but what I want to tell them that it just seems like the Packers are on a commercial break. And hopefully next year they can turn the station back on. Because the game started sloppy. You know, a potential fumble by Cobb, just couldn't get anything going. The Giants go right down the field, get a field goal. Now the Packers get a chance to maybe go ahead. Rodgers missed a wide open Jennings, kick a field goal. But this wasn't surprising. I've seen this before. Defense is horrible. Been horrible all year.
Yeah.
Bob McGinn did a great article about the statistics of the passing team. I've seen that before. But what I haven't seen, Tom, Coon fumble, Grant fumble, interceptions, missed opportunities by the offense. They've been pretty much flawless for 17 weeks, but not Sunday. It's terrible.
Well, one thing, that I agree with you, the offense was the surprising part. The defense, I actually think the defense played well enough to win in the right situation. They especially early on, first half.
They had a blocked field goal.
They had a blocked field goal. They kept keeping the Giants out of the end zone. That Hail Mary at the end of the first half was absolutely a backbreaker.
Yes.
From your perspective, what went wrong on that play?
I'll go back. The long run, Bradshaw, the 28-yard run. I think the coaches and players were so shocked that this guy ran 28 yards to get in a position to do the Hail Mary, that it caught him off guard to line up correctly for the Hail Mary. Now, I don't necessarily agree with how you defend a Hail Mary. I bet you 60 to 70% of the teams rush 3 guys, drop 8. Well, you want to make sure that the back guys back there in the end zone, you want to make sure they're tall guys or they can jump. Tramon Williams, 40-inch vertical, he should have been one of the guys all the way down to help knock the ball down.
There were 3 in the back.
Three guys in the back.
Pepra, Woodson, Tramon Williams.
Tramon,
as you're looking towards the Packers defense.
Tramon should have been over here where the 3 receivers were. Put Pepper over there with the 1 receiver. And if you want to put Woodson in the middle, I wouldn't. That's okay. I would move Woodson up there with the 3 receivers.
And I might put Bush in the middle. He's a big
somebody
guy
aggressive,
who can,
and that may be fine. But you have to stop or impede. I learned that word at Florida State. You have to impede the progress of the receivers, because all the offense want to do is just waste time and launch it. I would rush more than 3. I would rush 5 guys to go after the quarterback, 4 or minimum of 4 or 5. Where he has no time to get that ball off. And then I'm going to be aggressive to those receivers. When the last time they called pass interference on the Hail Mary?
Yeah, almost never.
Once you're in that end zone, in everybody's mind, knock the ball down. Now's not the time to intercept it. Everything has to be going down.
Which the back guys did, but what about the 2 guys in front? They looked like they were playing for the deflection. Like, okay, so if Nick's... But it sounded to me, talking to the coaches afterwards, that they wanted them pressed right up against the body of Hakeem Nicks.
Well, it should have started at the line of scrimmage. Go up there, bump and run, get a jam on these guys, then trail them. And as you're trailing, you're right in the hip pocket. You never look for the ball unless you can touch the receiver. When you can reach out and touch that receiver, then you can look for the ball. Then as you're elevating, you got to get between the man and the ball. And a lot of people take it for granted, but look at the Wisconsin Badgers. They lost 2 games because of that. So maybe next year you can put some time into it, because it's almost embarrassing and deflating to give up a touchdown like that.
Absolutely, because
that was a big play.
Tie game going into
with the Packers receiving.
Right, with the Packers getting the ball, and they ended up kicking a field goal. So, yeah, it was a backbreaker. Let's talk about the inability of Rodgers and Jennings to connect. That surprised me a lot. Now, Jennings, he was out for a month with this knee injury. But he practiced the last 2 weeks, and you would have thought they'd be able to get their timing together, but they were off. I mean, they were really off.
Yeah, I think the play you're looking at right now, that's one of the plays that Jennings got a drop on. It was a beautiful throw right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's right in his hands.
Right where you want it, deep and outside. But a lot of the other plays, you can see that maybe the rust was there for Jennings getting to his spot. And Rodgers missed a couple other guys on the spot, but I want to go back to the Jennings, the #1 target. Jennings and Rodgers have to be synchronized. It has to be anticipation where you're going to be on all these particular throws, and you get the ball. But for some reason, they were off. And I don't want to go back to this long layoff thing, because every team in the NFL, Tom, wants a bye week. No one wants to lose 7 games to get 9, squeak in. But, I mean, it's something to say about it. You're still playing and you're hot. But if you can wake up on a Monday and not get into a car wreck, wouldn't you do that?
Didn't hurt the 49ers, didn't hurt the Patriots.
Didn't hurt anybody but the Packers.
Yeah. So, it tells you, I think one thing you have to do is give the Giants some credit, too. They had a great game plan.
Yes.
I was watching some of their zone coverages, and whereas the Packers, there were all these holes in the zone, the Giants played the zones perfectly. I mean, they really were passing guys off to one another. It was, if you watch the 4th and 5 play where Rodgers gets sacked, if you have it on tape, look at it, because it is the prime example of how you play zone defense, and they just did a great job.
And people were saying throw the ball, but he had nowhere to throw
nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go.
But let me ask you a question. Do you try a long field goal over there?
Probably not in that weather. I mean, I think they knew what their distance was.
I think the right call was 4th and 5 to go for it.
Yeah, I think I would have punted. I think at that point I would have punted. Given that, your defense was giving up yards, but they were holding, in the end zone. And I just wouldn't have wanted to give the Giants that much.
See, what goes through my head, if I punt and it goes in the end zone, net 19 yards, I'm deflated.
Well, but you got a punter who's pretty good at putting it inside the 20.
But isn't that the aggressiveness that McCarthy has always won with, the onside kick?
Well,
things like that.
Yeah, but
going for it.
I'll tell you, it's different than you can look back at the 4th and 1 against Philadelphia in the 2003 division game. Remember, they had a 4th and 1 and Sherman punted and went in the end zone, touchback. But that was a 4th and 1. This is a 4th and 5, I think it was. A little bit different situation. So, especially
you would have punted?
I would have punted, Really, at that time, I thought he was going to.
I was okay with him going for it. I would want a better rhythm play selection, not so much down the field, 1, 2, 3, get the ball out.
Right.
Hopefully on the slants or something, or get a mismatch with Jermichael Finley. But Tom, the drops is something that we've seen all year.
Yeah.
But when you have consistent drops like Jordy Nelson, I say something is wrong. Jermichael Finley, of course, had drops all year. But these receivers, for the most part, seem to not be on the same page with Rodgers. And it seemed like at one point he was trying to will his team to a win. But it didn't work.
Yeah, it sure didn't. Let's talk about the secondary and where they go from here. Now, it's obvious that Charlie Pepper is not a starter. He should be a backup. He's a good special teams player. He's a good guy to fill in if you need it. But
he's a Band-Aid.
Right. He should not be your starter. Morgan Burnett, he's their safety of the future. I mean, I think he's got some ability, don't you? You don't like him?
I didn't say anything. I'm letting you talk.
Well what's your opinion on Morgan Burnett?
Well, I would love to work with this kid. There's a few areas in his game time he has to improve in the offseason.
Okay, and what is
He
that?
he has to put on more weight. He has a long frame, put on maybe 5 to 7 pounds of muscle, and he got to stick his head in there a little more. And he has to be able to work in the middle of the field and not leave when he sees a pump fake.
Right.
Stay disciplined. He's so undisciplined.
But
he'll
that's-
get more interceptions if you just stay disciplined with the defense.
That's part of being a second-year player who only played, what,
Oh, yeah.
2 games in his first
Right.
year.
You're right.
You know, I mean, he's basically a rookie.
I can build off of him.
Physically,
Yeah.
though, I mean, can you live with him as a starter?
Well, he has to be more aggressive. I don't want to sit him in the box. When I say the box, he's the 8-man guy walk down in the box to stop the run. He's more of a free safety guy. He can be kind of both if he bulk up a little bit and he stick his nose in there. I've seen times where he's not real aggressive tackler.
Right.
And that kind of hurts you. Although he did bring Brandon Jacobs
That
down
was
in the
a
open
hell
field.
of a tackle.
That
heck of a
was.
tackle.
So you got to give him credit. So he's ascending. He's going to be fine.
All right, okay, so let's
gonna be
just
fine.
assume that he's going to be a starter.
Yeah.
Next, you got Nick Collins. Is he coming back or isn't he? Let's, for the sake of argument, say he's done. He can't play anymore. You know, he retires. You've got Pepra, you've got M.D. Jennings, who really, you know, probably you don't want to be your starter. He's a special teams type player. And maybe you got Jarrett Bush.
Right.
And you got one other guy,
Who's that?
Charles Woodson.
Woodson can't play safety time.
Why is that?
Listen, if you miss a tackle on the perimeter, it's a 10-yard gain. If you miss a tackle at safety, it's a touchdown. Woodson missed a lot of tackles this year. For him to be the Hall of Famer that he is, he has to have the intangible of playing cornerback with help and the way he can go after the quarterback. If you put him at safety, you're limiting your skills there.
I think it's the equivalent of the Giants putting Antrell Roll, playing him at safety, and then on nickel putting him in the slot to cover a guy.
See, Antrell Roll's a little bit more physical than Woodson. See, to have a safety mentality, you don't have to be a good hitter, but you have to be a good tackler. And Woodson strips the ball a lot, and if he doesn't get the ball, it goes by. And he's honest with himself. I mean, he can help this team. Well, he should be. He can help this team by playing cornerback and playing the nickel back for the next 4 or 5 years. That's just my opinion. I know safety. I played 181 games at safety, and that's just my expert opinion.
He doesn't fit that role for you.
No,
Okay.
I'd like to see him out on the perimeter.
Okay.
So would you draft a safety first or second round of free agent?
I never would draft a safety in that.
Safeties are starting to change now.
first
I can name 5 young safeties.
Oh, there's some good ones, but
Okay.
Seattle got this kid, Cam Chancellor, and I don't even know what round. I forgot if he got drafted or not, but he's like an all close to being Pro Bowl type player. So.
Well, free agency, they're not going to do that. That's against what they do.
No, they're going to have to draft somebody,
Right.
regardless.
But not high.
I think they have too many other needs, and let's switch into that right now.
Draft needs.
I think pass rush will be their number one.
Now, when you say pass rush, do you mean pass rush specialist or outside linebacker?
No, that's
that can
what
do
we're
both?
going to discuss right now. What do they need more? 5 technique defensive end who can put some pressure, or do they
too much
need an
pressure on
outside
me.
linebacker?
They got too many stiffs at outside linebacker. I would like to see them get a linebacker. I think they can find another guy that's later in the rounds at a 5 technique defensive tackle. If you can get a special kid at outside linebacker in the middle of the first round or even later and develop him, there's your guy. No more Frank Zombos and the Sotos and Waldens. You've given them a chance. They're not there for you. You need a guy that can drop in pass coverage, go after the quarterback. Now what you can do with him in the later rounds, get a pass rush specialist, the Keith McKenzie's of the world.
Okay.
All you do is go after the quarterback and special teams.
I'm going to disagree with you 100%.
Well, you always do.
Yeah, because
Let
you're
me hear
wrong,
this.
of course.
How?
I think you got to have a defensive end. I think that's what they've been missing, is some kind of guy
give
who
me this
can
Cullen
create
Jenkins stuff again.
pass. Yes, I mean they need a guy like that. They need on nickel situations. They have B.J. Raji,
Right.
and who else? Mike Neal. Well, you can't count on him being ready.
Well, you
just
still
can't.
got him.
You have
What are
him,
you gonna
but
do
you
with
can't
him?
count on him.
Okay.
So you go if he comes through,
Right.
great, all the better. Then you get three defensive linemen you can rotate through that
Okay.
nickel position. You need a guy on that other side who is physical against the run and can create some pass rush. Now those guys don't grow on trees. We
Right.
know
Oh,
that,
that's true.
But I think if you look at Pittsburgh's defense, for instance, those guys are highly underrated players.
I
Brett
agree.
Kiesel
And Baltimore.
guys like that are
Yeah.
really important if they can get some kind of push. I think you can get an outside pass rusher third, fourth, fifth round.
Okay.
I mean, they've gone for undrafted guys. Soto's undrafted.
Right.
Zombo's undrafted. Walden they picked up off the street. Brad
Yep.
Jones is a seventh rounder. So that's what we're talking there.
But
okay.
if you do that, Tom, you get much of the same. So you might.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying
So
second, third, fourth, go for
Right.
your outside linebacker. But defensive,
so you think this draft should be defense heavy?
absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. I think they have to look, a little bit at left tackle still because they don't know what Derek Sherrod's going to do.
So you're saying Derek Sherrod is not the future?
Well, you don't know because he suffered this pretty horrendous
So
injury.
now you're going to start stockpiling these tackles. They're just,
Well, you can never have too many good tackles.
Well, they gotta
Marshall
play.
Newhouse is not a lock to be, your guy all the way down.
well, can we talk about that
Yeah.
for 3 milliseconds?
Yeah.
Newhouse starts, Clifton, you cut him?
Clifton is iffy. We don't know.
No, I need you to make a decision
Right now?
this second.
Right this second, I would bring Clifton back.
So Newhouse is back on the shelf. Then I wouldn't draft one.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll see. We'll see what happens to Clifton in training camp.
what about Donald Driver? Do you bring him back?
Well, we're going to go through that right now.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk
The
about.
listeners are gonna be mad
Let's
with
talk
you.
about some free agents and possible, cuts, re-signings. Okay, let's start with Driver.
Yeah.
You tell me. $5 million, 2.2 roster bonus. Let's say you can even negotiate it down.
Right.
Do you bring him back and possibly impede the
Yeah.
the progress of Randall Cobb?
Gurley.
Maybe Torrey Gurley, maybe this DeAndre Burrell, who's
Yeah.
kind of an intriguing prospect.
Yeah. Yeah, I bring Donald Driver back, and here's why. A lot of what you see in the league, people underestimate the leadership on this team. Tommy played pretty good in the last game.
He sure
played
did.
better than some
He
of
sure
these
did.
younger
He was
guys.
better than all of those
Right.
guys,
So,
all the receivers.
and he's the most reliable guy, and I think for the most part he needs one more Super Bowl to get to where he wants to be. With all that being said, I go back to my career. Mike Sherman and me had a real tough conversation my 10th year. He said, what about year 12 and 13 and 14 when you know you're going to want to play? What do you want to do? I say, look, you don't have to give me any money. You can just give me the league minimum for a veteran. I'll just play nickelback. So when that time came, we were prepared for it. When Driver leaves his press conference saying, I'll go somewhere else, I don't think they talked about that very much.
Yeah.
And I just don't want it to get like the Brett Favre of the world. You go and it's ugly, the team, people want you to stay,
Yeah.
the team gets rid of you. Because history has shown that, Ted has moved on from some of the,
Absolutely.
from the
And
the
that's,
veterans,
you have to do that as a good GM. It's better to cut a guy 1 year too soon than
Yeah.
1 year too late.
Well, that one's
Okay.
going to get a little messy.
It
Stay
is
tuned
going
for
to be
that.
a little messy, and
Yeah.
that's what he gets the big money for.
Yeah.
Finley, this guy is like a lightning rod. Fans either hate his guts
I love
or
him.
they love him.
Yeah.
Keep him or let him go.
I say sign him to a 6-year deal and make it to where he's comfortable so you can develop a guy. In this day and age, I can name 5 teams with great tight ends. You have one of those guys. So if you can continue to develop this guy, he's only 24. Isn't he supposed to be immature?
Yeah.
When you were 24, what were you doing?
Well, yeah. Well, I was
mean,
pretty mature, but he's
yeah, right.
But he came out early.
See, that's what I'm saying,
You know, he's just an immature kid. There's nothing he does that is bad. It's all just little immature
Yeah.
kind of.
I would
That's
say
Jermichael being Jermichael.
He's
kind of
been a
thing.
model citizen. He didn't get in any trouble.
No.
He does what you want. He drop a few passes, but he can continue to develop.
People don't see, and I do see this every day. The guy does work his butt
Oh,
off
yeah.
in practice.
Yes.
He's not a slacker. He did everything he could to get back from that knee injury,
Yeah.
and he always will. He's a workout guy. That's what he does.
Right.
Now, I just think you can't let a talent like
No,
that go.
no.
You just can't. And McCarthy
Absolutely
pretty
not.
much confirmed
Yeah.
that in his
McCarthy's
press
a smart
conference.
guy. He knows that's part of his offense.
Okay, Ryan Grant. He's not under contract. You bring him back?
Probably not, because some team's going to offer Grant a lot of money. He's had a pretty good year. He was the one back that was supposed to be out all year hurt. He played in all the games, and Starks was hurt. So if he leaves, you have to address running back, especially with Alex Green on injured reserve. Now, I don't even know if they're even going to even try even sign him. I think they're just going to just cut weight.
Right. I think it goes, they let him hang around unsigned till June. They see what they get in the draft.
Right.
If they get another back, or if they find themselves Alex Green is, slow, then they can sign him. I don't know that he's going to get that much interest, but we'll see.
Yeah, if he get anything, $3, $4, $5 million, he got to jump all on a multi-year. He has to take that.
Scott Wells, 30 years old.
Got to bring him back. He's your franchise. I would franchise tag him. You got to have him.
Well, you're assuming you get Finley. What if both of them are unsigned?
Well, I think I can franchise Finley and sign Wells to a deal. Yeah. Because I think for the most part, you got to have Wells. I mean, the guy's he's earned his stripes.
Right.
He's the smallest center in the league, maybe, and maybe the smartest. And you got to have him with Rodgers getting the coverages together. And remember, he's the only guy that's been there. He's been changing all around him. He's been there, so I'm okay with just keeping him.
Okay.
I wouldn't let him out of the state.
Yeah. He's. They obviously, respect him and really like him. Finally, let's look at the playoffs. 49ers, Giants. Who do you pick?
Well, I think that Eli Manning, to me, is better than his brother now. I think he's done it in the fourth quarter. He's going into hostile environments. Under pressure, he performs. And I think he'll go to the Super Bowl. I really think the Giants have what it takes. Tom Coughlin, throwback coach, but changed a little bit to this new wave coach. But to me, Eli is everything that you want in a quarterback. He's competitive, and he doesn't put his team in terrible situations. And for the most part, he just carried that team, Tom, the whole year. They didn't have a running game.
Okay.
Last in the league. And then, Victor Cruz and, Nix and, Mario Manningham, these guys, not top-tier guys, but he's putting these guys in the position to make plays.
So you're taking the Giants?
I'm taking the Giants, and I'm going to also take the New England Patriots.
Okay. I'm taking the 49ers, and I'm taking the Patriots.
Okay.
And I think that Patriots-Baltimore game might be a little closer than people think.
Right.
I think the Giants... I'm sorry, the 49ers, I love their defense.
Yes.
I just love the way they come to play and hit. And in the Super Bowl, I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to probably go with New England. What about you?
To win it?
To win it.
I'm going with the Giants to win. I think it'll be a rematch of the Giants and New England, and the Giants will do like they did the last time they played New England. They'll beat them.
Okay.
Hope I'm right.
Yeah, so we have two different ways, and hopefully we'll be back next year to decide whether that's going to be, we'll decide who is right or find out who is right.
Yeah.
So good luck on your attempt to try to get back in the NFL as a coach.
Yeah.
And if you do, we'll just get someone else.
Nobody can replace me.
If Daniel Driver's not around, we'll ask him.
I love the driver to do it. And again, all year long, I want to thank Syndics, Ballester owned and operated, sponsoring. This is great. They've done it the last 2 or 3 years. Hopefully they can do it again next year. Look out for my new cookbook at the Syndics, Ballester owned operated stores. And again, W.J. Kuhn in Oak Creek. If you need car problems, it's very slushy and snowy outside, go over there and take care of them and ask for Scotty Brooks and have your car checked out.
All right. Thanks for another good season.
Carried you all year.
Yeah. Well, what the hell? You got broad shoulders to do that.
Bye.
We'll see ya.